Well, I am so humbled to be here. This just everything that I've heard, Stuart,
30-minute
Kathy,
segment. So
yes, Stuart, Kathy,
manage the time.
just every single person. Yes, sir. Major, just yes, absolutely. I am humbled. Okay. I want to start off by saying that Love Never Fails addresses the issue of human trafficking. We are now a national organization. We started out in the Bay Area after one of my 15-year-old dance students was taken, coerced, and taken into trafficking and trafficked in San Francisco and Oakland and Vallejo in LA for over a year. And I wanted to just let you know there have been some changes in our legislation, and that is very much tied to the presentation that we're going to share with you. But I want to give you something tangible that we're doing to address the increase in demand for sex that we're seeing right here in this city. I don't know if you were tracking, how many of you are from San Francisco or living in San Francisco, if you saw the 3x amount of sex trafficking and sex work that was going on Cap Street earlier this year as a result of SB 357 passing, which legalized loitering for the purpose of prostitution throughout the state. So you may not know that, but now loitering for the purpose of prostitution is now legal. And these kinds of bills passing has troubled my heart to no end. It also has troubled me that we have such a problem with employment. And it has also troubled me that we have such a apathy in the people that I see on the street that are so very brilliant. I don't see, as I said over and over, when we do street outreach, I don't see homeless people. I see gold. I see beauty. I see love. I see eyes. I see stories. And so I want to encourage you, as you just see this quick video, as how we're tangibly responding right here, right now. I want to shout out Pastor Noah and Rochelle, who's been going down the streets with us and doing outreach. Also Elizabeth and her team, Lisa. And I also want to shout out YWAM because they have inspired us to take this message into the East Bay and this model into the East Bay. And I did get Tim's okay to do this. I want y'all to know that. Co-opetition, right? Somebody said that. Okay, let's play that. Hi, my name is Vanessa Russell, and I'm the founding executive director of Love Never Fails. At the beginning of 2023, there was several changes in our California laws that really opened up the market for sex buying. We saw an increase in human trafficking and in buying in places like Oakland and San Francisco and Stockton and Vallejo and San Jose. And in some places it was a 3x increase, very alarming. And the way that we have met that challenge is by doing more to reach people who are vulnerable and providing more exit service and providing more life-giving, life-saving hope to people. As we felt the pain of our communities, simple things. You may not know this, but people out that are being sold on a blade, they don't know where to use the bathroom. You know, can you imagine being sold all day and not having a place to use the bathroom? A place to wash their bodies? Or deodorant to feel clean and to smell clean. And regardless of what's happening to you, whether you voluntarily did it or you're doing it involuntarily, you still want to feel well. So our goal is to help to make sure that people feel well by giving them things like this toiletry kit on any given day in any given city in the Bay Area, handing these out 6 days a week. Again, our goal is for 15,000 people a year to receive not just this kit. This is good. This is going to help you today. Maybe it's going to help you the whole week. But a local flyer that has real housing solutions,
real workforce development solutions, real mental health, real legal services. Because those are the four things that we keep hearing when we go out there. This is what I need. I can't get a job because I have this on my record. I need it. I need help with it. I can't get to work because I'm unhoused. I can't get housing because I don't have my paperwork, and so I need an attorney to help me to get my paperwork because someone's holding it. I need to file a restraining order because my abuser is holding on to it. These things are all interrelated. And again, Love Never Fails is just humbled and grateful to be part of a fabric of agencies that are doing this work. We want to be the hands and feet that go out and hand people hope. And we hope that you will come and join us in doing this life-giving and hope-giving work. Thank you. Welcome to the Love Never Fails Outreach Center, where we will serve 15,000 people per year. How are we going to do it? We're going to do it through volunteerism, through community outreach advocates coming and being with us in this place and lending their hands and their hearts to the people in the community that need it so much. Come on in. Let's go. So this home is such a blessing, and clearly we need to do some beautification. We have a lot of things that we need to do to get this space ready for community outreach advocates. The idea is that someone would come and stay here for a weekend, for 3 days, for 7 days, for 3 months, for 6 months, or for 12 months. And they would learn to become a community outreach advocate, which again is distributing the supplies that we just looked at, really engaging with the community, praying for those that want to receive prayer, loved on, really providing hope at a very critical time in someone's life. And so I want to just take you through the house, a little tour, so you can get an idea of what we're doing here. We've got our living room pulled together. This will be a place where we can just spend some time together, love on each other, have some good laughs. Our kitchen, which is, it's clean. Yay, it's clean. We need some beautification, maybe some new paint. But we have really been working as a group to make something out of what we have. And again, we are not afraid to get started with what we have right here, right now, to make it happen for people who need it. The things that people in our community need, the workforce development, access to our IT Biz Tech Academy, and not just our academy. I want to make sure that's clear. This center, our purpose is to meet 15,000 people's needs with the resources that work for them, with the housing that works for them, with the food that works for them. Some people have different dietary requirements. Some people have different needs, different wants. If we do this together, we will be able to meet every single need. There is no reason why anyone in the Bay Area should go without. And with all of us plugging in, we will be able to make a difference in the lives of those that we love.
So I think what I heard there is what Christian said, show up. So we're just showing up with what we have. And I'm going to invite up now, if we want to bring up those slides, I'm going to invite up Divya Prashanth, who is here from the UK. Woo woo! She flew in from London on Saturday. This woman is brilliant. I'll let her introduce herself. She runs an organization, HQNFT.xyz. She is a data scientist, and I am partnering with her. And let me give you the tie-in. The tie-in here is, you heard SB 357 and you go, how would we possibly, with all this homelessness, with 180,000 people homeless, How could you responsibly legalize loitering for the purpose of prostitution? Because we know that prostitution preys upon vulnerabilities. So how could you legalize an industry that is built on preying on vulnerable people? And part of it is because we're not fully informed, or we don't think about laws from various perspectives. We don't think about laws from the perspective of the sex trafficking victim, or from the child, or from the inner city black and brown that are the most impacted by human trafficking. And so as I was thinking this through, I began to dream of something that is called the AI advocate. Something that would leverage AI technology to provide more insight, more education, more empowerment, and also employment to our inner city people who are most impacted by the laws that are being created. So I want to start off, let me go ahead and let Divya introduce herself, and then we will go into what we are doing with the AI advocate.
Hello, everyone. I'm Divya. I'm the co-founder of a blockchain company called HQNFTs, and I'm also a NASDAQ contributor on AI and Web3. And I also run another data science company. And I met Vanessa through TED, and it's been amazing. I was really absolutely thrilled and excited when she said, why don't we do something together within the data science space? And ever since, it's been amazing. We've gone from teaching to actually now this whole new idea of an AI advocate on the back of an analysis that we did. So that's really exciting. Thanks.
Yeah. Woo! So let's just talk a little bit. And I like to think out of the box. My background is in tech, and I left my corporate tech job to work with, to provide housing, to provide all these services to traffic victims. But the tech piece, I think there's a bridge there that we can't forget. That's how you're going to solve things like human trafficking, is by bridging in these sustainable industries and these, and providing access to data science and teaching those that people would say. I once had a woman say to me, do survivors of human trafficking have the IQ to be able to do tech work? She asked me that. And I just said, they sure do. And let's watch them go. Let's watch. Let's watch and learn. So here's a problem with today's legislative process. Most people don't understand legislation. How many of you think that laws are created by judges? I had someone say that to me who was really like PhD the other day. Why did the judges let that happen? How many of you think that laws are created by a vote? Some. The bulk, not. You vote for your senator or your assembly member, they create the bill, and that's how it gets, and then it's voted by all of them. Okay. So we don't know what the legislative process entails, and most of the legislative process is catered to the college educated, the English speaking, and people that are underserved and impoverished that the bill is about are not represented in that population. Okay, and so I would challenge you, go to leginfo.legislature.ca.gov, go to that, and tell me if you understand what you see there. Let's go to the next slide. Oh, I didn't get the clicker.
I've got it.
You got it, okay. So, proof point, only about 38% of non-lawyers understand basic legal language. 28% or more of California's legislators are lawyers. And even more are PhDs, or there's a percentage that are PhD. 0% of legislators are just there with a high school diploma. 0. So that tells me that their point of reference might not be to create things that are obtainable and understandable by the people that they are developing them for. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So there's a disconnect. Inclusion begins with understanding. Understanding begins with access. So the people that we're representing, they're getting these narratives that are not cultivated for them. The narratives are synthesized for someone else. And the people that I represent, I am the chairman of the Violence Prevention Coalition. I'm a cybersecurity professor for Merritt College in Oakland. And I can tell you that the people in Oakland did not know that they were getting ready to have this unleashed on them. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Yes.
Right. So what we have been doing is that we've been actually training people within the community, and these are individuals who do not have a degree, let alone even a 10th, your higher education, like your 8th or 9th or 10th even. So I've been training a few of the students within the organization, and these are now full-fledged data scientists and data analysts who now know the difference between a Power BI and a Tableau and SQL, MySQL, and Microsoft SQL. At the same time, they also have the capability to use AI tools like ChatGPT-3 or various other large language models, and are able to kind of make sense of these information that is out there. So that, like, for instance, like a legislator which is out there, let's say, which is hard even for, looking at the statistic, we clearly know that only about 25% of the people who create these legislature are actually lawyers, meaning about 85% of the people who actually make these laws really don't know what they're doing. I mean, I shouldn't be saying that like that, but that's really what it is.
She's from the UK. Give her a pass.
And then, of course, then again, in the folk that who are educated, only about 38% understand that. So, given the sort of percentage of people who understand what is out there, it's clear that this sort of text is written in a manner in which not everybody can understand. And with these tools, using data science and AI, we were actually able to kind of go under the hood and understand what some of these legislatures mean to everyday ordinary people. And this was done, by means of, education that was provided to them. And then they were literally empowered by means of knowing what they know and using the different tools. So that was a combination, in sort of a three-prong approach that we took to educating, empowering, and actually then being able to produce an output out of all of that.
Yes, and so employment is the third prong to this strategy. And so the idea is we believe that people who are going to solve homelessness, are going to solve addiction, are going to solve these various issues are the ones that are actually experiencing it. Yeah, right? Who was it? There was a young man that came up here and he had some beautiful housing options. He had experienced, you hear it over and over again. We've experienced this pain. We know what the pain is about, and we know how to articulate solutions for it. So let's at least make sure that we have lived experience experts included in the things that we're doing. And they're not just up there, looking pretty, but they're part of the solution building. Okay. So let's keep going here.
I mean, it's really important to understand the sort of how AI has emerged, while the whole sort of idea was, first established sometime in the 1950s, things were getting, like you had a bit of artificial intelligence in the 1960s, but really where they just speed up and take a whole new life is 2021, 2000, when you have a lot of data, across, you see things like Twitter, Google. So there's a lot of free data for anybody to do anything with. And then you had this birth of deep learning, where you have these systems that start learning from the existing data. But the really seismic shift is in 2020, about 3 years ago, when you had these large language models that were, like behemoths. They're like monsters in the way they operate, because you just feed data and they just keep learning and learning and learning, and it's crazy. It's scary, actually. So this is the point where Vanessa talked about data being who feeds the data and who kind of feeds these systems. That's really important, because if there's only one set of people who are actually part of this data collection and data processing, what would happen is there'd be a lot of bias in the data. And the key is to be able to democratize that sort of data processing and data collection, space. And that's really key, where everybody has to participate. That's like one of the most important aspects of data gathering and data processing. Then again, with where we are, with the birth of generative AI, we are in a very, very different space where you do not need an engineering degree, or you do not even need to be a medics, actually. Of course, you've got to have, for medics it's slightly different, but you don't need an engineering degree or be a lawyer to understand law anymore. It's the tools that are available are so powerful. So now more than ever is a time where, it's such a level playing ground for everybody. So if we empower the youth within these communities, which were otherwise, you would call as socially deprived or not having enough access, they can make a difference today, because they would be at the same sort of level playing ground with someone with a, Harvard education, for all you know. So that's really what we feel. We feel that now we know that AI is really the dawn of a new era where it's an equal level playing ground for everyone.
Yes. And we're excited about it. And of course, there's some responsibility factors. I see Tom back there. There's some responsibility around AI that needs to be explored. But we think that used in the right hands with the right people collecting the data, we have the power to change the playing field completely. And so with AI, if we look at the AI advocate, the next slide, these are some of the things that you're going to see. With the AI advocate, we will be doing bill summarization. So we are going to harvest all the bills that are involving gender-based violence in particular. So human trafficking, domestic violence. We're going to harvest those bills, and we're going to synthesize them, and we're going to get them down to a very simplistic language so that everybody knows what they're about. We're going to break down barriers so that everyone is participating, even the ones that I don't agree with. Hello, somebody? It doesn't need to be just Vanessa's way. It's going to be everybody at the table contributing to sourcing data so that we know. I loved what Naveen said, and somebody else said it as well. We need to make sure that we bring everyone to the table to synthesize the data and pursue truth. Also, bringing people in, which I'm calling credible data analysts. Credible data scientists, people that have lived the life, people that understand when they're looking at the legal language, they know what it means. Getting those people employed to vet the bill summarization that we put together, and put together some pros and some cons that are inclusive. And then, of course, empowering everybody so that we know what's actually happening. So if you want to go. So one of the case studies that we did, we tested this out on SB 665, which is a bill that was created to consent to mental health services. On October 7th, 2023, this was passed. This bill, at the top, it says it's consenting to mental health services for minors. So it allows minors, it repealed section 6924 of the Family Code, allowing minors to consent to mental health without parental consent. So that sounds pretty good when you know that there's a lot of unaccompanied minors, and there's also minors that are being abused when you look at it from that perspective. But there's a couple issues with this bill. It involves 12-year-olds opting in to shelter without parental consent, without being vetted as a case of child abuse. Now, think about this from the perspective of an exploiter. That looks like a great market for me to start recruiting, doesn't it? Doesn't that sound like a coercive mind, an opportunity for me to coerce a vulnerable 12-year-old and say, this is what you do. You say you don't want to live with your parents anymore, and you just leave. And because this has been passed, the parents have no rights to go get their child from the shelter. Now, Many of you are going, what? This is why we don't even know what's being passed. And we don't know all the little legal languages that are in there. We don't know until our mom is or our daughter rather, or son is sitting in the shelter saying, I'm not coming home anymore. I love him. He's going to take care of me. So I want us to understand the use case for this. And if we go to the next slide, we can talk about how we will vet this with AI Advocate.
Well, yeah. So if just to go back to that, the bill, if you look at the summary, it says it's about consent for mental health and involvement of. So these are the things that it changed in terms of the consent for mental health, of course, under 12, and then involvement of parents and guardians. So that's a big change, and then expanding definition of professional person. So what we realized is that when you go into the detail of it, there's more to it than what meets the eye. If you look at both the pros and the cons, there's more to it than just what is written on the bill. So yeah, going back to how we went about it, we used a few large language models to build these, to analyze these bills, everything from ChatGPT 3 to BERT and various other tools. Along with that, we also use data science and data that was available publicly on crime and various other sets from California. So the big difference is, while there is data available, just like how information is free and publicly available, there very few people will go and actually check it. But then what we managed to do is, bring that all together, use AI, use data science, use blockchain and not blockchain, data analytics, and bring it all together in one place. So it made it easy for someone to understand what was in there. At the same time, it was accessible for everyone.
And just to kind of double down on that, if we just look at AI today, there's some great tools. You can put stuff, you can cut the bill, put it in AI, and you can move the language to simple. You can do that manually. But how many of us know, and how many of your average community members know how to open up BARD or open up ChatGPT, know where the bills are actually being stored, know the bills even exist, copy them over, move it over to simple, synthesize it, then ask yourself, well, what if I'm this kind of person? Or what if I have this kind of experience, not, in personas? And what if you speak a different language? What if it's a cultural bend that you hadn't considered? All of these things need to be considered when we're talking about making laws. For the top 5, the number one issue that legislation is, California's priorities, legislative priorities, guess what's the number one? Anybody? Homelessness. So shouldn't the people 60% of the people that are, it's temporary homelessness, shouldn't they know, or they're no longer citizens? They're in a box, so they don't matter. Or shouldn't they be able to get on their phone and figure out what is happening about their predicament? Yes. Okay, so if we go to the next slide.
So really, this is part of that exercise where we taught people to use various tools, and this is some of the visualizations that they came up with in terms of crime and crime rate and how it is divided by gender, etc. And this is not, your average engineer or even a BSc graduate. These are people who've just dropped out, who've probably done 6th or 7th grade and such. So, and now they're using sophisticated tools like Power BI and MS SQL.
And so these are some of the graphs that some of our data analysts are actually creating. And so we're just showing that this is accessible. We have the opportunity to educate people, anyone who signs up for our IT Biz Tech Academy, Data Scientist Pathway. We can educate them. We can use their experience and their insight to empower the community. And then our hope is to also employ them as credible data analysts and data scientists. All right, so that's what we have. Here's our QR codes.
Thank you.
And we got 30 seconds left. Questions? Oh, we've got that raffle, huh? Okay, what was the name of the bill that we did our case study on? Anybody?
A663.
Oh, right there. There's a giveaway. Lauren. Awesome. Yeah, great. We just have a quick giveaway there. Any questions, or Ted, what do you want to do?
Okay, one question. Someone get a mic to my friend Jim Delisanti.
Raise your
One
hand.
quick, concise question.
Hi. Great presentation. Just really quickly, there's data that you're trying to learn to make legislation better. Are you currently collecting data to talk about the effects of bad legislation?
It's a good add-on, and actually that's our join in, right? Is to join us to develop this. We're very much in pilot mode with this. We think this is an important piece, and I love that contribution. I love that. I think that's important.
That's why I invited you here. To ask that question and to bring your brain to it. That's the whole power of why we have this gathering. Oh boy, 2 hands are up. Okay, 3 hands are up. We've got to choose the person. We get 1 question, 1 more concise question.
Where are my 3 hands?
Ladies first. Okay.
Okay.
Share right there.
Tara?
Tara.
Yes. This will be the last question, and then stick around. You can grab them at the break.
Well, I hope it's insightful enough. I'm just curious, as a healthcare provider and someone who works in the community, how we can refer people to you.
Yeah. So loveneverfailsus.com has all of our information there. We've got some flyers out there, and we have bracelets. We have, there you go. We got cards. We have housing. We have workforce development. We do outreach. We have lots of stuff that we can do together. So thanks. No, it's Bay Area. We consider ourselves actually, we house people from Tennessee, from Texas. They're flown in through different providers, but most of the people are from the Bay Area. Yeah.
Wonderful. All right.